So today we're talking about a really interesting piece of consumer tech gear, which is the Chuwi Minibook X. Now before we get into it, I have to give you guys a little bit of history. During the early days of the iPhone and before iPads even existed, there was a category of devices called netbooks. These were small, cheap, ultra-portable laptops that were designed to do basic tasks like office work and internal browsing. Now it all started with Asus with their EPC 701, which was released in October 2007. For reference, the very first iPhone was released in June 2007, the very same year that netbooks started. What else was going on around that time? J.K. Rowling just finished writing The Deathly Hallows, Netflix began streaming content, Windows laptops looked something like this. Anyways, the idea of the netbook really took off. People really liked having a device that did more than their basic smartphone could do, but was more compact than their regular laptops. Now, netbooks evolved over the years and came in all kinds of screen sizes, ranging from 7 inches all the way up to 12 inches. However, the launch of the iPad in 2010 showed people that there could be a device that was better than the netbook. Now, it took a few iterations, but the iPad quickly dominated the space between the smartphone and the laptop, and netbooks started to die off. Now coming back to present day, I noticed that some large manufacturers like Asus and Lenovo are still producing laptops that I would consider to be netbooks. So for example, the 2024 Asus VivoBook Go is an 11.6 inch laptop with an Intel Celeron N4500, 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gig SSD, and it runs Windows 11 Home in S mode. Another one is the 2024 Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 500W 2-in-1, which is also an 11.6 inch touchscreen laptop. It has an Intel Pentium N6000, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD, and it runs Windows 11 Home. Now, I tried both of these netbooks, and the problem with both of them is that even though they have more modern specs, they are just as bad as the netbooks from 15 years ago. But enter the Chuwi Minibook X. If I had to give a nickname for this, I would call it the netbook that doesn't suck. Now, the Chuwi Minibook X may look similar to the Asus and the Lenovo ones I just talked about, but the experience with this one is completely different. Let's start with the exterior. You're not going to find any cheap plastic here. What you're going to find is a high quality aluminum unibody design, just like what you would see in an Apple product. So when I'm trying to bend this, there's no flex at all. Even when I have it open and I'm trying to flex this keyboard area, there's very, very little flex, but it feels like really solid piece of metal machine. In terms of I/O, you're going to find 2 USB-C ports on this side that support fast charging. So we're talking about 1 hour of charging to go from 0 to 70%. And on the other side, you even have a headphone jack. Now, in terms of the screen, you have a 10.51 inch diagonal screen that has really narrow bezels. It has a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, and the screen resolution is 1920 by 1200. The screen is glossy, as you can tell by the light reflection, but the colors are vibrant and the blacks are deep. So I'm gonna play this video here just to show you guys the quality of the screen. It's also gonna play a little bit of the audio. The audio is not that great, but it's decent for this type of machine, especially at this price point. So we're running at 4K right now. So you can see the colors are just really beautiful. It's not washed out at all. A lot of netbooks at this price point tend to be really washed out, faded, a color that is supposed to look black, sometimes look gray, but on this display, really, really beautiful colors. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that the screen can actually rotate 360 degrees on the hinge right here. So you can put it fully back and use it in tablet mode like this. Or you can use it in like this tent mode. So if you're on like an airplane, you can put this on your food tray and use it like that and then watch whatever you want to watch. In terms of the keyboard, this is actually a full-size keyboard, but it has really narrow bezels on the sides. So they were able to fit in a full-size keyboard. Let's do a typing test here to see how fast I can type on it. So not bad. That's my first time. If I did it again, I could probably do it faster. But very usable. The keyboard is also backlit and there's a nice sized trackpad. It's not going to be huge because of the size of the laptop, but they definitely used all the space that they could. Now, all these features are nice, but what really sets this netbook apart is the performance. Now, this model has an Intel N100 CPU that is plenty fast for basic office tasks and content consumption. It actually has 12 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabit SSD storage that can be upgraded all the way to 1 terabyte. So let's go through some simple workflow examples to show the performance. I use Google Drive a lot, Google Docs to do my drafting. So this is actually a draft and script of this video that you're watching right now. But I have no problem navigating with the interface. Scrolling is really smooth. So I could definitely use this as a productivity machine. When consuming content and navigating really JavaScript heavy websites like this Apple website with their iPad product, you can see here that everything is scrolling really well. I can open up a bunch of tasks without any kind of slowdown, and these websites are loading a ton of content. So there's ads, there's articles, there's all kinds of things loading in the background, but you can see here that it's getting through it just fine. And we have all these other tabs open still. Let's run that footage again, just to show you guys that you can actually do all this. And again, that beautiful high resolution screen. And just remember, all this is on the laptop that is less than 11 inches in size. Now, what's really amazing about this netbook is the cost. Right now, you can actually find it on Amazon for $349, and that's really cheap, especially when you look at the comparable netbooks that I described earlier. You're gonna get much better performance and a much better built machine for that price point. Now, I love using my iPads, but I have a soft spot for these tiny little laptops. It's just really interesting to see how much performance you can fit into a small form factor like this while keeping the price as low as possible. It's great to look at, it's really fun to use, and I just hope that manufacturers will continue to release niche devices like this for all of us to enjoy. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below.